Hi, I'm Walter Bush.
And I'm Wayne Bush.
And this is America Rides Maggie Valley. Well, here we are in Maggie Valley, and today my guide is, of all people, my brother Wayne, who lives not too far from here, so he's very familiar with the area. Could you tell me a little bit about the roads around here and what's different riding in this area from most other places?
Well, number one, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a straight road around here. We live in the mountains, and everything up here is either up, down, turning left, right, going over or under something. This is ideal two-wheel territory. You're not going to find much better riding anywhere else in the entire United States, perhaps in the world.
Now, I notice on the roads around here, most people seem to ride staggered or in single file. You don't see too many people riding side by side. Is that just because the roads are so narrow?
Well, number one, in North Carolina, riding side by side is illegal, so we don't do it too often, but it's largely a safety issue. The roads up here are narrow, they're winding, and by riding staggered, it gives you more time to react if something goes on in front of you. You don't have the chance to run off the road, you don't have the chance to swerve into another lane. You're going to want to maximize your safety and ride in a staggered formation and give yourself a little bit of extra room.
And the other thing is, too, I noticed, especially this time of year, I think because of the leaves and the rain's not making it much better, when you go into some of these turns, there's a lot of leaves in the road.
Well, riding in the mountains up here is all about riding in turns and curves. And wet leaves, wet spots, and as the weather gets even cooler, ice patches can really liven up your riding. You're going to want to slow down a little bit. You're going to want to take a little bit of extra caution going through those curves, particularly when it's wet or when it's very shadowy. You'll find that on a lot of our roads, they're so narrow, they're so overgrown with trees, they're so beautiful that the sun never really penetrates to dry out some of those curves. So just take a little extra caution when you're hitting those and don't put it quite as fast.
And how long is the rainy season here? I mean, obviously, we're getting some rain right now, and from what I understand, that's not exactly normal this time of year, at least not the kind of rain we've gotten. But that, I've heard that better part of the year you can ride around here even without that problem.
Well, normally we'd be in a fairly dry period right now. The fall is usually one of our dry periods, but we're in that transition time between summer and winter, when we've got the warm air and the cool air moving back. You can expect some rain anytime you come up into the mountains. Each of these little valleys has its own microclimate. You may ride out of rain in one valley, into sun into the next, go into the next one, it'll be entirely different. Each of the mountains tend to make their own weather, and that's part of the beauty and the challenge of riding up here in Maggie Valley and the surrounding area.
Now, the other thing I wanted to ask too was, I've really noticed, my bike has a very large tank, so I usually can ride the better part of the day without filling up. Sometimes it's pretty far between gas stations, isn't it? Sometimes.
Well, it can be. We're in some pretty rural mountain country. There are small towns here and there, but if you're looking at the map and you're thinking as the crow flies, it may be 10 miles from this town to the next. But when you get on those mountain roads, it may be 35 miles before you actually get over there. It's a particular concern when you're up on the Blue Ridge Parkway. While once again, it looks like on the map you're passing towns fairly close, not only getting on and off the parkway is a long way down to them, but there is no gas on the parkway itself. So before you head out on these rides, fill up your tank. It's better safe than sorry, and you can count on most small towns will have at least one gas station. If you can find a town with a stoplight, you may find two.
The other thing too you want to keep in mind when riding in North Carolina is that this is a state with a helmet law. So you have to be sure to wear a helmet. Go ahead.
Okay, one more safety tip for you to consider. In North Carolina, we locals believe that our tax is paid for the whole road, and we like to use it, particularly on some of those tight mountain turns. One thing we learned in school was stay between the lines, and that's the way we tend to drive. So when you're coming around the curves, don't tend to hug that line, get to the outside, give that car coming around a little extra room, and you'll probably be happy because he's liable to be taking up just a little more of your lane than you're going to be comfortable with.
Well, very good. Well, let's get to riding then. What do you say?
I say I hope we get a break from this rain, but let's get out on the bikes.
Yeah, because this is America Rides in the rain.
In Maggie Valley.
Maggie Valley is by far one of the most unsung motorcycle destinations in the country, if not the world. This small mountain town in the western tip of North Carolina is sure to become one of the top destinations for motorcycle enthusiasts of all types. Maggie Valley welcomes bikers and caters to the motorcycle community. It is ideally located just north of the Blue Ridge Parkway's southern end, which follows the peaks of the Smoky Mountains that wrap around the town. Not only is the Parkway considered one of the best roads in the world for motorcycles, but the roads leading up to the Parkway are equally as famous for their twisting paths up and over the mountains. And to top that off, Maggie Valley is home of Wheels Through Time Museum, one of the largest collections of vintage American motorcycles in the world. Wheels Through Time is truly a unique experience for any motorcycle enthusiast and is worth the trip on its own. Most of the bikes in the museum actually run, and you can even ride some of them, as they offer a select few vintage bikes as rentals. The museum traces the history of motorcycles in America, with hundreds of beautifully restored examples. Some of the bikes are the last of their kind, and many are posed in actual shops or period-accurate settings. There are even some truly unique machines, such as a Harley-powered airplane. The collection at Wheels Through Time is so impressive and extensive that every visit yields something new, not to mention the fact that the museum is constantly acquiring and restoring new machines. This museum is a must-visit location for anyone passing through the area. For those of you who like to travel lightly and rent your bike when you get there, then you need to see Ken at Griffin Bikes of Maggie Valley. Well, we're here today with Ken from Griffin Bikes of Maggie Valley. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
And what exactly do you do here?
Well, we rent Harleys to tourists coming to the area.
What kind of bikes do you currently rent?
Well, currently we're exclusively Harley, and we've got an inventory of 7 this year that we ran with. So we had an Ultra Classic, a Heritage, a Deluxe, a Deuce, a Super Glide, and a Road King, and also a Lowrider.
So when somebody comes to you for a bike, you have everything they need? You have all the gear complete?
Well, almost. We've certainly got helmets, North Carolina being a helmet state, and probably for next season we'll add leathers to that lineup for the early and late season also.
And I understand business is really picking up around here for the motorcycle crowd that comes in.
It is. We just opened in April. It's been a good season, and between the different things that draw motorcycles to the area, it's been pretty good between the museum here in Maggie Valley and the best roads in the U.S.
And you recently had an event here. It was a rally in the valley.
Actually, Harley-Davidson dealers of the area put on the rally twice a year, actually, one in the spring, one in the fall. And then there's the Cherokee Survivors Rally, and there's also 2 other rallies here in Maggie, not to mention Bike Week down at Fontana Lake.
Really? Well, it looks like you're ideally placed to rent Harleys then.
We're located right in the heart of Maggie Valley on Soco Road, 871 Soco Road. Call us by phone, 828-926-4400. Or you can get to us through our website, which is www.griffinbikes.com.
Good meeting you.
Good meeting you.
See you again soon.